The council members will vote next week on whether to authorize $360 million to build a streetcar line.
Back in March, Mayor Gene Stothert said a streetcar line from Blackstone to downtown would pay for itself. And now several outside bond and finance experts are confirming the math works.
And that's due to expected investment along the route that could total $3 billion over the next 15 years.
S&P and Moody's have taken a hard look at the city's financial condition, which is extremely healthy, and our marketplace. And they are very bullish about Omaha.
Despite that testimony, some members of the public disputing the claim the project will pay for itself.
There are also concerns about how construction might impact utilities such as water mains. The City Council will vote on the bond authorization next week.